the 5-step plan to turn a simple idea to a $1 million business. Hello, and welcome to our channel MT. Today we are going to talk about something that a lot of people dream about. We are going to talk about how you can take a simple idea, a little thought you had in your head, and turn it into a real business that makes a lot of money. Maybe even $1 million. Now, that sounds like a huge, crazy number, and for most people it feels impossible. It feels like something that only super smart people or people who get lucky can do. But what if I told you that it's not really about being a genius? What if it's more like a recipe? If you follow the steps, you can bake the cake. It's not easy, and it takes a lot of work, but it might be simpler than you think. We're going to break it all down into tiny, easy-to-understand pieces. No complicated business words, no confusing charts. Just a simple talk about how to build something from nothing. Before we begin, I have a question for you. What is one simple problem you faced this week that you wish had an easy solution? It could be anything, like your socks always getting lost in the laundry, or your phone charger cord being too short. Let me know in the comments below. I'm curious to hear what you come up with. Let's start at the very beginning. The idea. Everything starts with an idea. But what is a good business idea? Most people think you need to invent something totally new, like the next iPhone or a flying car. That's not true. In fact, some of the best businesses are based on ideas that are just a little bit better or a little bit different than what's already out there. Think about it. Before Facebook, there were other social websites. Before Google, there were other search engines. They just did it in a way that people liked more. So, the first thing you need to do is stop pressuring yourself to be a super inventor. You don't need to lock yourself in a room for a year to think of something nobody has ever thought of before. All you need to do is find a problem. That's the big secret. A good business idea is just a solution to a problem. So, how do you find a problem? You just have to open your eyes and ears. Pay attention to your own life. What are the things that annoy you every day? What do you complain about to your friends and family? Maybe you hate how long it takes to get your coffee in the morning. Maybe you can never find a good parking spot. Maybe you find it really hard to eat healthy food because you're always busy. These are all problems, and if you have a problem, it's very likely that other people have the same problem. And guess what? People will pay money to have their problems solved. That's all a business is. A business is a thing that solves a problem for people, and in return, those people give the business money. It's that simple. Let's take an example. Let's say you are really bad at keeping your plants alive. You buy a nice plant, you put it in your house, and a few weeks later it's brown and dead. This is a problem. You might think, I'm just bad with plants. But what if you thought about it differently? What if the problem isn't you, but the plant pot? What if there was a plant pot that watered itself? A pot that you only had to fill up with water once a month, and it would give the plant the perfect amount of water every day. That's an idea. It's a solution to a common problem. You didn't invent plants or pots, you just combined them in a new way to solve an annoyance. That's a $1 million idea right there. And it came from a simple, everyday problem. So, your first piece of homework is to become a problem finder. Get a small notebook, or use your phone, and for 1 week, write down every single thing that annoys you or that you think could be better. Don't judge the problems, just write them down. Your toast gets burned too often. Your dog's leash gets tangled. You can't find a TV show to watch. It doesn't matter how small it is. At the end of the week, you will have a list of problems. And that list of problems is a list of potential business ideas. Most of them will probably be bad ideas. And that's okay. You only need one good one. Now you have a list of ideas. What's next? You have to pick one. How do you know which idea is the good one? This is where a lot of people get stuck. They have an idea they love, and they get so excited about it. They tell their friends, and their friends say, "Wow, that's a great idea." But that doesn't mean it's a good business idea. There's a big difference. A good idea is something you and your friends think is cool. A good business idea is something that other people, strangers, are willing to pay money for. So, how do you find out if people will pay? You have to test your idea. Testing your idea is the most important step, and it's the step most people skip. They skip it because they're scared. They're scared that people won't like their idea. They'd rather live in a dream world where their idea is perfect. But you have to face reality. It's much better to find out your idea is bad after a week of testing than after spending a year and all your savings building it. So you have to get out of your own head. The goal is to find out if your idea has a real chance before you spend a lot of time and money on it. How do you test an idea without building anything? You talk to people. But not just any people. You need to talk to the people who would actually buy your product. Let's go back to our self-watering plant pot idea. Who would buy that? Probably people who are busy, people who live in apartments, maybe people who are new to owning plants. You wouldn't go to a professional gardener and ask them because they already know how to water plants. You need to find your target customer. So, you could go to a store that sells houseplants and just watch people. You could try to talk to a few of them. You wouldn't say, "I have a great idea, do you like it?" People will often just be polite and say yes. You have to be more clever. You should ask them about their problems. You could say, "I see you're buying a new plant. I'm always worried about keeping mine alive. Is that something you think about?" You are trying to see if the problem you think they have is a real problem for them. You are listening for their complaints. If they say, "Oh yeah, I kill all my plants, I feel so guilty about it," then you know you're onto something. If they say, "No, it's easy, you just water them once a week," then maybe your idea isn't as strong as you thought. You are not selling them anything yet. You are just doing research. You are like a detective looking for clues. The clue you are looking for is pain. How much pain does this problem cause them? If it's a small annoyance, they probably won't pay to fix it. If it's a big, painful problem, they will be desperate for a solution. Another way to test your idea is to pretend you already have the product. You can create a simple web page. This is very easy to do these days with all the tools available online. On this web page, you describe your self-watering plant pot. You can put up some nice pictures of what it would look like. You can even just draw it or use a computer to make a picture of it. You write about all the benefits. It saves you time. It keeps your plants healthy. It makes you feel like a good plant owner. And at the bottom of the page, you put a button that says Buy Now or Pre-Order Now. Now, here's the trick. When someone clicks that button, it doesn't actually take their money. It just takes them to a page that says something like, "Thank you for your interest." This product is not ready yet, but if you enter your email address, we will let you know as soon as it is. What does this do? It measures what people do, not what they say. It's easy for someone to say they like your idea. It's much harder for them to pull out their wallet and click a buy button. If you get 100 people to visit your webpage and only one person clicks the buy button, your idea might not be very good, or maybe you're not explaining it well. But if you get 100 people to visit and 30 of them click the buy button, then you have a real winner. You have proven that people want what you have even before you've made it. This is powerful information. It's the green light that tells you to move forward. You haven't spent thousands of dollars building a product. You've only spent a little bit of time and maybe a tiny bit of money on a web page, and you already know that you have customers waiting. Okay, so you have an idea and you've tested it. You've confirmed that there are real people out there who want to buy your solution to their problem. Now it's time to actually build the thing. This part is both exciting and scary. This is where your idea starts to become real. This is also where people think they need a lot of money. They think they need to rent an office, hire a team, and spend a fortune on manufacturing. But you don't. You need to start with what is called a minimum viable product, or an MVP. That sounds like a fancy business term, but it's actually a very simple idea. It means you should create the most basic, simple version of your product that actually solves the problem. Let's stick with our plant pot example. Your big vision might be a beautiful pot made from a special material with a fancy phone app that tells you when the water is low. That's great, but that's complicated and expensive to build. What is the absolute minimum you need to solve the problem? You need a pot, and you need a way for it to water the plant by itself. Maybe for your first version, you just buy some regular plastic pots and you find a simple watering system that you can add to them. Maybe you do it by hand in your garage. It might not look perfect. It might not have all the cool features you dreamed of. But does it solve the core problem? Does it keep the plant alive for someone who is bad with plants? Yes, that's your MVP. Why do you start with this simple version? There are a few very important reasons. First, it's much faster and cheaper to make. You can get it into the hands of real customers in weeks instead of years. Second, it lets you learn. The moment a real customer uses your product, you will start to get feedback. They might say, "I love that it waters my plant, but the pot is really ugly." Or, "It works great, but it's too hard to see how much water is left." This feedback is gold. It's real information from the people who are giving you money. You can use this information to make your product better. You can improve it based on what customers actually want, not what you think they want. It's much smarter to make these changes on a simple, cheap version than on a complicated, expensive version. So you have your simple product. Now you need your first customers. You don't need 1,000,000 customers right away. You just need 1, then 10, then 100. How do you find these first people? You go back to the people you talked to when you were testing your idea. You go back to the people who gave you their email address on your test webpage. You can email them and say, "Hey, remember that self-watering plant pot you were interested in? The first version is ready, and I'd like to offer it to you." These first customers are special. They are not just people buying something. They are your partners. You should treat them like gold. Talk to them. Ask them what they like and what they don't like. Listen to their ideas. Another way to get your first customers is to go where they hang out. For our plant pot, you could go to local farmers markets. You could join online groups for people who love houseplants. You can post pictures and talk about what you've made. In the beginning, you have to do things that don't scale. That means you have to do things that take a lot of your personal time and effort. You might have to personally deliver every pot. You might have to write a personal thank you note to every single customer. This is not what a $1,000,000 business does, but it's what a brand new business does. This personal touch will make your first customers love you and your product. They will feel like they are part of your story. And what do people who love a product do? They tell their friends about it. This is the best kind of marketing. And in the beginning, it's the only kind you need. You are not trying to sell to everyone in the world. You are just trying to make a small group of people very, very happy with what you've made. If you can do that, you have a strong foundation to build on. You have a product that solves a problem. You have a small group of happy customers who are paying you for it. Now what? How do you get from 10 customers to 1,000 customers, or even 10,000? This is the part where you start to turn your small project into a real business. This is where you have to start thinking about growth. Growing a business is like pouring fuel on a fire. If you have a good, strong fire, the fuel will make it roar. If you have a weak little spark, the fuel will just put it out. That's why the early steps of making sure your product is good and that customers love it are so important. You can't skip those steps and just jump to growth. So how do you grow? The first thing to think about is how people find out about you. In the beginning, it was just you talking to people. Now you need to find ways to reach more people without having to talk to every single one of them yourself. This is where marketing comes in. Marketing sounds like a big scary word, but it just means helping people who have the problem find your solution. There are many ways to do this, and you don't need a huge budget. One of the best ways to start is with content. This just means creating useful or interesting things online that your potential customers would like. For our plant pot business, you could start a blog or a social media page. You wouldn't just post pictures of your pot and say, "Buy my pot." That's boring. Instead, you would share useful information. You could write an article called 5 Easy Plants for People Who Kill All Plants. You could make a short video showing people how to repot a plant without making a mess. You could share beautiful pictures of homes filled with healthy plants. You are giving away helpful information for free. This does a few things. It helps people find you when they search for these topics online. It shows them that you are an expert and that you care about the same things they do. And it builds trust. So when they are ready to buy a product that helps them with their plants, who will they think of first? You, the person who has been giving them great advice all along. Another way to grow is to think about how you sell your product. In the beginning, you might have been selling it directly to people at a market or from your own simple website. Now you might need to make it easier for people to buy. You could improve your website to make it look more professional and make it easier to order. You could start selling on bigger online marketplaces where millions of people are already shopping. You might even think about trying to get your product into real physical stores. Each of these steps allows you to reach a whole new group of people who would have never found you otherwise. As you start to sell more, you will run into new problems. These are good problems to have. They are growing pains. Maybe you can't make the pots fast enough in your garage anymore. Maybe you are spending all day just packing boxes and shipping them. This is the point where you have to decide if you want to stay a small one-person show or if you want to build a bigger business. If you want to build $1 million business, you can't do everything yourself. You have to start building a system. A system is just a way of doing things that doesn't need you to be there for it to work. For example, instead of making the pots yourself, you might find a factory that can make them for you. This will cost more for each pot, but it will free up your time to work on more important things, like marketing or designing new products. Instead of packing all the boxes yourself, you might hire your first employee to help you, or use a service that packs and ships products for businesses. Every time you get rid of a task that someone else can do, you are buying back your own time. Your time as the founder of the business is the most valuable thing. You need to spend your time working on the business, not just in the business. Working in the business is packing boxes. Working on the business is thinking about what new product to launch next year or how to reach customers in a new country. To grow big, you have to slowly replace yourself in all the day-to-day jobs so you can focus on the big picture. This is one of the hardest things for a founder to do. Because the business is like your baby, you want to control everything. But to grow, you have to learn to let go and trust other people or other systems to do the work. Let's talk about the money. This is what a business is all about, right? Making money. But it can also be the most confusing part. A lot of people think that if they sell $1 million worth of their product, they are a millionaire. That's not how it works. You have to understand the difference between revenue and profit. Revenue is all the money that comes into the business. If you sell 10,000 plant pots at $50 each, your revenue is $500,000. That's a lot of money. But that's not the money you get to keep. From that revenue, you have to subtract all your costs. These are the expenses you have to pay to run your business. For our plant pot business, you have the cost of making each pot. Let's say it costs you $15 to make each pot, including the materials and what the factory charges you. That's a big cost. You also have costs for marketing, like running ads online. You have costs for shipping the pot to the customer. You have to pay for your website. If you hire someone to help you, you have to pay their salary. All of these things add up. The money that is left over after you pay for everything is called profit. Revenue minus costs equals profit. This is the most important number in your business. The profit is the real money the business has made. You can have a business with $1 million in revenue, but if its costs are also $1 million, its profit is zero. You did all that work for nothing. You can even have a business that loses money, where the costs are higher than the revenue. This happens a lot with new businesses. So, your goal is not just to make a lot of sales. Your goal is to make a lot of profit. How do you increase your profit? There are only two ways. You can increase your revenue, or you can decrease your costs. To increase revenue, you can sell more products, or you can increase the price of your product. Increasing the price can be scary. You might worry that people will stop buying. But if you have a great product that solves a real pain point, people are often willing to pay more for it than you think. You have to test different prices to see what works best. You could also create new, more expensive products. Maybe you introduce a premium version of your plant pot made from ceramic, which you can sell for a higher price. To decrease your costs, you need to look at everything you spend money on. Can you find a cheaper way to make your pot without making it lower quality? If you buy more pots from your factory at once, they might give you a better price for each one. Can you find a cheaper way to ship your products? Can you spend your marketing money more wisely, focusing only on the things that bring you the most customers? Every dollar you save in costs is an extra dollar of profit in your pocket. A good business owner is always watching the revenue and the costs. They always know their numbers. You don't need to be a math genius, but you do need to understand this basic idea of profit. If you don't know if you are making or losing money on every sale, you are just gambling, not running a business. Building $1 million business is not just about having a great idea and a great product. It's also about you. It's about your mindset, The journey from a simple idea to a successful company is long and hard. It's a roller coaster. There will be days when you feel like you're on top of the world, and there will be days when you feel like a total failure and want to quit. This is normal. Everyone who has built a business has felt this way. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is often just that the successful ones didn't quit. You have to be prepared to fail. In fact, you should see failure not as a bad thing, but as a learning opportunity. Your first idea might not work. Your first product might be a flop. Your first marketing campaign might be a waste of money. That's okay. Each time you fail, you learn something new. You learn what doesn't work. And that gets you one step closer to what does work. People who are afraid of failure will never even start. They will keep their idea safe in their head, where it can stay perfect forever. You have to be brave enough to bring your idea into the real world, where it might get messy and it might fail. You also need to be patient. You will not build $1 million business overnight. It's not like the movies. It's a slow, steady process. It's about laying one brick at a time, day after day. It's about making small improvements every week. It's about celebrating the small wins, like getting your first customer or your first positive review. If you are always focused on the huge goal of $1 million, you will get discouraged. But if you focus on the next small step right in front of you, you can keep moving forward. What do I need to do today to get one more customer? What do I need to do this week to make my product a little bit better? By focusing on these small, manageable tasks, you will eventually look back and be amazed at how far you've come. One of the biggest mindset shifts you need to make is from being a thinker to being a doer. Many people have great ideas. They love to talk about their ideas and plan them out in perfect detail, but they never actually do anything. They get stuck in analysis paralysis, where they think and research and plan so much that they become too scared to act. An okay idea that is actually launched and out in the world is 1,000,000 times better than a perfect idea that only exists in your notebook. You have to be willing to take messy, imperfect action. You have to launch your simple, not-so-great website. You have to start talking to customers even if you don't know exactly what to say. You have to build your simple, not-so-perfect first product. Action creates information. Action creates momentum. You can't steer a parked car. You have to get moving, and then you can adjust your course along the way. So let's quickly recap the journey. It all starts with a simple idea, which is really just a solution to a problem. You find these problems by paying attention to your own life and the lives of others. Then, you don't just assume your idea is good. You test it, you talk to potential customers, and you try to get them to prove their interest, maybe by giving you their email or even trying to pre-order. Once you know you have a winning idea, you build the simplest possible version of your product, the minimum viable product. You get it into the hands of your first few customers and listen carefully to their feedback. You make them so happy that they tell their friends. Then, you start to grow. You find ways to reach more people through marketing, and you build systems so that you don't have to do everything yourself. You watch your money carefully, always making sure that you are making a profit. And through it all, you maintain the right mindset. You are patient, you are not afraid to fail, and you are a doer, not just a dreamer. This is the path. It's not a secret formula. It's a recipe that has been used by thousands of people to build successful businesses from nothing. It doesn't require a genius intellect or a rich family. It requires curiosity, a willingness to work hard, and the courage to put your idea out into the world. Your single idea, that little thought you have that solves a simple problem, really could be the start of something big. It could change your life. It has the potential to be $1 million business. The only way to find out is to start. I hope this has been helpful. I hope it has made the idea of starting a business feel a little less impossible and a little more achievable. It's a long road, but it starts with a single step. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button to join our community.